Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Can We Talk by Master Relationship Coach Myra McKnight.
Hello. Good Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Thank you, Source Nation family. This is Myra McKnight, and I want to thank you for allowing me to come into your space. I really have to let you know how much I appreciate that. I've been gone for a couple of weeks, but if you guys hadn't noticed, hopefully you did notice, but I am back, and we are live today on Friday. And we have, of course, another great show tonight. We have a lady that is coming into the studio, and she's going to talk about some things that a lot of us as women have had to deal with in our lives, and she's a survivor of that. And you know, I was kind of throwing a little back that somebody actually is coaching or helping women that go through this particular type of, I don't know what you call it, but it's very inconvenient. And it's called those crazy, dirty, nasty uterine fibroids. And she's written a book about that, which is, you know, very interesting. And I'm excited to hear about the things that a lot of women talk about as they go through that. She is Martine M, and she is a womb confidence specialist and a uterine fibroid survivor. So we pretty much know about that, some of women of us who deal with that in our lives. But it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm excited about her coming on the show. So she's going to give us information that we don't have and kind of walk us through her journey and her life. So I'm hoping that the last couple of weeks you guys have had an amazing week, and I hope that you've done something for yourself. You've been true to yourself. You've been really taking that quiet time to do things that you need to do for you. There's a lot of things that are going on, and I'll talk a little bit about that a little bit after the show here. But there's a lot of things that are going on when it comes to women today. You know, I know that we're dealing with the domestic violence and things of that nature, and it's a crazy twist where you have women that have been sexually abused, sexually assaulted, raped, things of that nature. And you would think we were in a third world country. But, you know, some things will only change if you change them. And sexual assault against women have been around since the beginning of time. It has been the privilege of what men think, the entitlement of themselves to put themselves on women. And the terrible part about it is that when women are working and they need to work and they need their careers and their jobs and things of that nature, they kind of get like a deer in headlights. You get afraid and you don't pass that on. You don't pass that on to the next person. So, you know, what's important is that you learn to look. This is how it's going to have to be. You're just going to have to open your mouth, and if you tell it, you can stop it. If you tell it, you can stop it. And that's what I want to kind of talk about later on, is that you, as women, we got to teach our young girls to tell it, because if they don't tell it, it will not stop. I told my nieces that, you know, when they were growing up in school, I would tell them if a young man in school, if he touches your breast or touches your butt, anything of that nature, you get your cell phone out, you dial 911, then you go into the office. And some would say, you know, don't do that. You'll get the young man in trouble. Please, give me a break. You just assaulted this girl, and you did, you know, because when you come into a person's space, your body is all you have. And for any man to touch a woman inappropriately where she doesn't want him to touch her, that's against the law. That's an assault. So I think if we start these young men off early and let them know that they cannot do that when they're young, then when they get old, they will not have. Look, Weinstein has 70 women that have come, and there was one black woman. But I do know that many Black women have been accosted through sexual harassment and sexual abuse and things of that nature, and are probably more quiet about it than any of the other cultures of women. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, but if you have any questions or you'd like to give your input, there's a hashtag called Me Too. If you'd like to give your input about that, please do so, and give me a call at 619-924-0933. 619-924-0933, and this is Myra McKnight, your empowerment specialist, and I am with you live in living color, and I am grateful for that in your space, and I'm thankful that you are with me. Stay with me. We got Martine M, our womb confidence specialist, is going to be in the studio with us on the other side. So, see you in a minute.
Source Nation, stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening live to Can We Talk by Master Relationship Coach Myra McKnight.
Source Radio Network is just one of the many platforms that is used to fulfill dreams of our listeners and create a purpose that will impact the lives of our communities, cities, and the world. It is often said that great things will happen when a group of driven people work together to accomplish one goal. We're giving people the opportunity to have a voice, translate words that haven't been heard, and paint pictures that no one has seen. Source Radio Network is fueling your life's purpose. How can you listen? www.blogtalkradio.com/Source Radio.
Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Can We Talk by Master Relationship Coach Myra McKnight.
Okay, we're back. Thank you for tuning in today, Friday. Thank you for allowing me to be in your space on Can We Talk, and this is your host, Myra McKnight, your empowerment specialist, and that was a gospel tune from indie artist Cedric Ford, who's recorded. And we're talking about victory. You know, that's something that we all look forward to. That's something that we all need. That's how we survive, you know, is victory, believing and having that faith. And that song just reminds me of all the times when you're trying to do something and you got to hold on and hold tight as you possibly can. And sometimes that ain't even tight enough. But God always brings us through it. He always sees us through it. And we always get the victory, even when we don't know that it is around the corner, right there in our face. So that was gospel indie artist Cedric Ford with Homes Report, What You Believe. Great song. Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate that. And as I said, we have a amazing lady that is giving some information that a lot of us as women need. We don't ask for it, you know. It can be kind of embarrassing and a headache on top of all of that. But we make it through in that too. But she's got a twist for us, and she's going to give us some information and discuss her book, The Faces of Uterine Fibroids. And she's on tour, and she's putting it out there. She's a Uterine Fibroid survivor. But before we do that, I definitely must stop and give a shout-out to our amazing sponsors, because without them, we would not be able to give you this very private and intimate information that we're going to give you today. And our sponsors are Zelina Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Paper to Film Productions, Revolution Mills, Renovations, Meet My Matchmaking, Blend to Blend Juice Bar Boutique, Urban Grandstand Digital, and New Covenant of Praise Worship Center. And we thank our amazing sponsors, and we definitely thank God for them for sure. And here we go, our guest in the studio, and we're glad to have her in the studio. Martine,
yes,
thank you
hello.
for being here.
Thank you so much for having
me.
Hi.
Wonderful. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm highly blessed. Thank you. And you?
Absolutely. We are excited to have you, and thank you for accepting the invitation to come on Can We Talk, because we need to, definitely. We need to talk about what you are doing and how you are helping so many women just something, this taboo of fibroids is something that, of course, we don't like to talk about. We don't even like to know it happens, and it just comes upon us and is here. And so you're bringing a different face to it. So let's talk about that. Tell our listening audience of Ladies Here at Source Nation about you, what you're doing, and why you're doing it.
Well, basically, my journey started about 19 years ago. Well, not 19 years ago, 21 years ago, I'm sorry. When I was 19, actually, I was told by some pains I was having, and I went to the doctor, and I was told basically with the pains that I keep going back and forth with, my best bet was to have a hysterectomy because the uterine fibroids that I did have were just like a bad case. So at the age of 19 years old, being told that a possible hysterectomy would relieve and alleviate my pain, that was not favorable to me. I was just in college, just really starting out life. I really had no idea in which direction I was going. And then plus I said, I can't make a drastic decision like that. And I remember I pursued from one doctor to another. I stayed within seeing women doctors because I believed that at that time that women doctors would actually understand my personal condition as a woman from a woman's point of view. But at the same time, as I continued seeing these doctors back and forth, and every time I would hear the same conversation, get a hysterectomy. And years were passing by. I was back and forth in pain. I went to the doctor, like it was like a revolving door activity for me because I was always there, whether it was emergency room, personal doctor's visits, whatever you name it, I was always there. So it came to a point 21 years later, finally, as I pursued my journey, I always believed and I knew that one day I would have to reach some sort of a deliverance. And I didn't believe that I went through all this time of having my period at the age of 11, then to find out at the age of 19 from suffering that I would have to remove everything and not have a chance, to the possibility at least to bear a child, at least have a choice. So I said to myself, like I said, there has to be something better. So finally I went to see a male doctor. And this male doctor basically, when he examined me for 45 minutes, just a consultation, a regular consultation, he stated to me from the things that I was describing to him, he said to me, well, you would have to go in depth with your proceedings and get an x-ray and do a whole series of tests. And it's after the whole series of tests that he sent me for that I really knew exactly what was going on with me. And he asked me, well, who's your doctor? Like, nobody ever explained to you your actual position, your current position, how deplorable your condition is. And I said, well, I knew it was bad, but I didn't know how bad it was. And that's when I learned about my blood count and that I actually was living on a very low blood count of a 5, which is basically unheard of. And then it started to make sense to me why I was lethargic, why I was irritable. It made sense to me why I had like shortcomings and unable to function regularly. I always felt like I was struggling, like pulling things together as opposed to easily being in alignment with everything. And he said to me, well, it's going to be a difficult operation. However, I'm willing to take the chance to do it to help you. He says we're going to do everything to preserve your uterus, but we'll do our best to remove all the fibroids. So I followed his footsteps for 6 months. He told me what to do, how to prepare. And so when I had the surgery on November 16, 2016, the fibroids were actually removed. Although I did, within my journey, implement herbs, but a lot of them did disintegrate on the outside of my uterus. However, I had a plethora, I would say, of fibroids inside my uterus as if I was pregnant, and that was the major problem. They removed those. And once they removed those, then my blood count became normal, and I just started functioning as a normal person soon after my healing. And here I am today. And within that long of a story.
No, well, that's actually the story. So I definitely understand that, and I know that journey was a long journey, and most women, definitely a long journey. And most of us that deal with the fibroids or have dealt with them before understand all that before and after. But what made you want to? That was 2016, and so. That was like a year ago or so. So what made you want to go on tour? What made you write the book? And how did you come to the the tag of womb confidence specialist?
Okay. So what made me start my journey about telling my story was basically I wanted to give gratitude for reaching my day of deliverance. And that was my way of saying thank you to God for actually making it this far. I never thought I would ever see the day that I would be fibroid-free. So that's why I wanted to share my story. And sure enough, I remember when I did put on my Facebook page the issue that I was having, because nobody really knew what was going on, but I did put on my Facebook page that I wanted to be thankful because I reached the day of my deliverance and the fibroids were removed. There was actually one comment that stated to me that was it wasn't favorable. They really were telling me, well, why did you put it out there? It's something private. You shouldn't have told anybody. Should have just left it. And I really wanted to just reach out because I was just so happy to be in a different position finally in my life. And I remember when I received that comment, it hurt me so much that I went to bed and I said, God, what is this all about? Like, what does this mean? And I remember the next morning I woke up and I was told, well, you know what? With this, the God within me saying, well, they may be ugly, but if you put faces to them, they will be beautiful because every woman is beautiful. They may be going through a difficult situation. However, just put faces to them and the condition will be a beautiful condition to talk about because a lot of people need to be delivered as you were delivered. And this is the way my journey started, and I pursued it. So going from there, I started looking into the fibroid situation, where they're located, what is it all about. It's within the womb. I remember when I was going through my whole issue with the fibroids, it was difficult for me to create. It was difficult for me to move forward and really be open and embrace things. And now it's totally different for me. I'm able to create as I go along. I receive messages well. I'm able to transfer things well. I'm really at a moment of my deliverance where I'm actually living life as opposed to just existing. And I realized that before I was just existing, going from day-to-day experience. But now I'm really living. I'm happy. And beautiful things are happening every moment of the day for me, and I embrace that. So womb confidence specialist, I furthered on studies where I'm learning about the womb continuously. I'm learning about all the energies, the balance with the chakras, so on and so forth, and I became fairly recently a room Reiki practitioner, certified room Reiki practitioner, and I just continue on with that.
And then I think that's the most amazing part is becoming the womb practitioner as far as the Reiki goes, as far as the, spiritual goals and things of that nature, because I do think that the womb is the seat of the woman. I think that all things happen from that point. I've never studied, but just being a woman, I just believe that, our emotions and our way we interact, the way we act, all seats from there, from that point. And it carries such a big responsibility in being a woman. So, and that womb has a lot to do with it. So that's pretty interesting. So do people come to you to talk about that specifically? Or you just kind of write it in your book, or you go out and you speak about it?
Well, the way it's I just became certified just last weekend for the womb Reiki
Congratulations.
practitioner. So it's a very new path for me. However, I felt like I've been there before. It's just a matter of me embracing it and really indulging into the field. However, ever since my book came out, it's since May of this year, last year actually, my book has been giving me opportunities where I can go out and speak, and the more that I speak about it, and also I reach out online within my group called Faces of Uterine Fibroids, people ask me questions, and I just deliver based on my personal experiences, everything that I went through, and what I'm doing to keep myself healthy and moving forward. So I share a lot of my experiences online within my group, and that's how I interact with my fans and my readers.
Okay. And what are some of the ways that, and I'm quite sure that those ladies that are listening today would like to know, we'll get all of your social media platform at the end, but what are some of the ways that you might talk about in your book to manifest a positive energy from that part of the body?
Well, to manifest positive energy with the whole womb and uterine fibroids is that you really have to get your mental right. You have to get your mental together, whereas you have to really stay within yourself and believe in your inner self to know that whatever situation that you're in, it doesn't have to be the final situation. I mean, I'm not saying that hysterectomy is a bad choice. However, I knew that for me personally, it was not the best choice, and I stood on that. So I already knew for me that would not work unless there was something else that was totally detrimental where I didn't have an option. But I always felt within my heart that there was an option. That's why I kept pursuing a lot of different physicians. And with uterine fibroids is that you have to ask questions. They could tell you, yes, you have uterine fibroids. Like at the beginning, I was told I have uterine fibroids, but if they're small, don't worry about them. If they don't bother you, don't worry about them. Leave them alone. They can stay dormant. But with my situation, although at one point they were small, they grew, and then they became painful. And then I started having other different issues where they were hurting my limbs, and I was anemic, didn't understand why. It's not until I did enough research and I find a physician who was willing to explain the situation to me, then I finally understood that I was in a critical case. And that's the reason why a lot of the doctors from before, they rather just tell me the short way out is to get a hysterectomy because it's an easier surgery. The surgery that I had was an open myomectomy, and basically it's like a C-section. But in order, with my condition, in order for them to do it successfully, they literally had to take my uterus out and clean it out and then reconstruct it the right way to put it back in. Because at one point, towards the end, I literally felt that my uterus was going to come out because it was so low. And I felt the uncomfortability, and those things do happen where you do have a prolapsed uterus, and sometimes it does come out, and some people have to go to the emergency room to get it inserted back in. But with my case, it wouldn't even be that issue. I had to get the surgery, had them clean the uterus, reconstruct it, put it out, and have me heal with it. So that's why I choose to talk about it, because I know that there are other women going through the same issue. Not only that, growing up, this type of topic was always a taboo topic for me, where I kept it to myself because that's the education I received, that it's not something that you talk about. But meanwhile, after all this time that I went through, I said to myself, maybe I probably would feel a little bit better if I reach out to some people, create some discussion groups, whether it's online, however, just create community to let people know that, hey, I went through this, and even though it was 21 years of suffering and agony, but there's a way out, and you can reach a day of deliverance, no matter what the choice is, but you can have a better days afterwards, and you don't have to feel so uncomfortable or ashamed about it.
Right. And I think, today with the technology and things of that nature, I don't know how long it's been, but I think a lot now they are trying to redirect women, especially young women, from going through hysterectomy. 19 is a very early age for someone to talk about hysterectomy. But I know several women that have, gone to several places to where the hysterectomy was not an alternative. So, and that's a great thing, but you have to go into them, and then they'll give you your options, and that's not really on the table, because it just kind of, it doesn't help women, especially young women, or whatever age you are, to do that. Carries such a lot of emotional, psychological issues, is what some of my friend girls tell me. So it's a lot of information out here now about that, and they're gearing towards, like you were, just removing them and allowing you to live a better life from that. So I'm glad that the research has gotten in and gotten better, and you search for that. So, and that's a big deal. When you're in, sometimes, and the internet is a wonderful thing, and education is an amazing thing. So, people might tell you one thing, but you have to look for yourself and allow God to guide you. And you had the faith that you weren't having hysterectomy. You knew that wasn't going to happen. Took yours a little bit longer than it might have taken someone else. And it sounds as though that, as you said, your condition was a lot different. I've suffered from them, but I can't say I suffered from them to a point of debilitation or anything like that. And, and I think to you, also, Martine, now, do you talk to the ladies about the food they eat? Because I do know that there's another person was talking about the womb. There's certain things that you eat. It can cause problems as well, especially with the fibroids. Caffeine, drinking sodas, those kind of things. And there's certain things that you do that kind of grows them, and allows you to be in more pain. So do you talk about, can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Well, one thing I had to do along my journey is that I had to change all of my eating habits. Where it comes to, let's say, fast food, then I had to remove that from myself. I had to indulge more into vegetables and cooked vegetables, not processed foods. More raw organic stuff. I had to go into fruits, eating fruits daily. I was juicing on a regular basis. That's what helped me, although I had a blood count of a 5. And it would, my blood count would go from 5 to a 7 and last maybe for 2 days at a 7, go back to a 5, is because I really, and I never got a blood transfusion, by the way, until the day before my surgery. That was it. So all this time I'm living with a low blood count, and that's because, honestly, I helped myself to not get the transfusion. I did beets, carrots, a little bit of ginger, honey in there, that which helped me build my blood. So like that, even though regularly with my condition I had a low blood count, but I was still functioning, and I was still able to do certain things. So I do talk about that. I let people know within my group that your diet is really prime. You have to make healthy choices. Carbohydrates, like really salty foods and, really high-fat foods, is something that you need to think about twice before you actually put it in your system, because you don't know what it's going to do. And the fibroids agitate a lot when it comes to sugar and, like potatoes and fried foods and all that stuff. So if you put good stuff in your system, the possibility is that they're not going to like it and they'll start to disintegrate, and that's the way it normally works. But at the same time, we also have other things on the market which triggers fibroids as well, which is our sanitary pads, and that's an education. That's something that I've learned along the way, that the pads are not as sanitary as we think they are, because of the components that the pads are made of. It's really causing bacteria, within the vagina area for us. it's not as clean as we think they are. So that's something that I had to change for myself as well.
Right. Yeah, everything is about, everything is about change, and when you're coming up, you deal with what you have. And I've heard that as well, where, napkins with, you think you're really making a big deal, but if it has like a scent to it or something like that, and, you don't need to have perfume, any type of perfume apparatus on you. So that's a very delicate area of a woman, and it is a personal area as well. So I can see where there are many women, it's probably not a rush of women that's going to come out and talk about that in a detail. They probably just say it haphazardly, "Ooh, these fibroids are kicking my butt this month," that kind of thing, and then you're okay with it until the next month. But what you've decided to do is to give back to the universe what it gave you, which is freedom and liberty. And you're okay with that. You definitely always run into people who don't agree with what you do, and there's a lot of things people might not agree with what I do. But at the same time, this is what you have in your spirit, which God has given you, is to give out to somebody. So nobody knows who that somebody is until that person, connects with you. So if you weren't doing that, then you wouldn't give that to that person. So it is not just about the womb. It's about a lot of things that you talk about. And when you talk about your book and what you do, it's about, your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit. It's about the wholeness of the woman, and that includes the womb. So that's just another part of her, because there are so many facets to a woman. Sometimes you're so busy. Some women have lived with fibroids for their whole entire life, and they've just dealt with it. But it's good and refreshing, I'm quite sure, for those out here that might say, you know what, maybe I should go check this thing out, and not have to deal with it for such a long time. So, you're touring with your book as well to kind of put a face on, those little pesky things that continue to women. And how is that going?
It's going very well, thank God. People have been receptive to the tour online, and I've gotten to speak on many different platforms, many different radio shows, magazines, so on and so forth. So it's going very well, and I'm very thankful for it. I'm very happy every time I meet someone who tells me, "Thank you so much for sharing. You have no idea what that means to me." And then they start telling me about their personal story. And just to hear that their personal story is really not much different than mine is amazing, because you know what? I would never know or meet these people unless I started my journey. So I'm very thankful, and that continues to give me the drive for me to continue doing my ordained assignment, for me to just have what it takes to continue my mission. I've turned my whole situation into something totally positive, hence the beginning of it, going through all the sufferings of 21 years, was not a glorious time for me. But when I saw that I reached a whole different point, I started a whole new life, and things have been transpiring for me in the most positive light, like my dreams are being realized, then I'm saying to myself, I need to just continue on as I'm doing, and as I stay on this path, then more blessings will pour into me as I bless other people. And that's my goal.
Absolutely, and that's your goal. And that's an amazing goal to have. It puts you, and that's your calling. That's what you're supposed to be doing. And, it can be different, really. Callings are not what people used to say. It's not like your calling is just to stand in a pulpit and preach. Sometimes your calling can be different, and it should be, because life is different, and life brings about a whole new kind of genre in our lives, and it's okay, and it is liberating. I think you said that before, where you were, you're being healed as well. Your healing process is continuing, and it has to continue. When you're out giving your story of how you made it through, not you going through, but how you made it through, it is a definite blessing and a healing process for you as well, to keep giving the story out. Because I found the more you talk about your story, the more it gets out of you, and the more it kind of dissipates. And then you're going into strength at that time, that you are transferring that energy of strength to another person. So, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So, that's amazing what you're doing. And it's a courage to do that. Yes. For sure.
It put me in a vulnerable It actually put me in a vulnerable state. But I love being in that position because because it's a challenge for me as well. It's really a challenge for me as well, where it allows me to keep up with my life moving forward, keep people interested. It keeps me wanting to do more and striving for more. So it goes both ways, and I enjoy it because every time, like you said, every time I share my story, it's a new deliverance for me. It's not the same deliverance that I had on November 16, 2016. Every day, every time I share my story, it's a new deliverance. And I'm reaching new stars, and new pathways. So I'm just really happy about it.
Absolutely. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And, what you're doing is it's always a niche somewhere, and that somebody's like, wow. And you will attract that person that needs to hear what you have to say. And because everybody don't attract everybody. But that energy that's needing you, that person that's needing to hear you, will be reading the book or the magazine, or might happen to be online, or might happen to be listening online to the radio show. So and it just kind of pricks that spirit. So you definitely want to keep doing what you're doing, because it's different. And you know how people are; they don't like to talk about sex, so they don't want to talk about this. So, but if you keep pushing it out there, and again, it makes you stronger, and it will build up, and it makes more women more empowered to be able to be free about it, and not to hide it within themselves from month to month, time to time. So, Martine, tell us. I mean, this is an amazing topic, and it ventures to give a lot of credence to what a lot of us as women have had to deal with, and you were the one. You're one of the ones that are out here, giving a face to it. Give us your social media platform and tell us how our listening audience, how they can connect with you.
Everybody could connect with me on Facebook.com/Womb Confidence Specialist. That's the Facebook page. Instagram is Instagram.com/Haitian Naturalista. And Twitter is Twitter.com/Martine Myers.
Okay. So, great.
And I also have my group, which is on Facebook. It's Faces of Uterine Fibroids. That's the name of my book. And you can join through that group as well, because I do a lot of lives through that group. Okay.
And it's about empowerment. And I think that, what you are doing, you are empowering women to be okay. And as far as women go, we have to learn to be okay with what is okay. We didn't ask for fibroids. We didn't ask for those things that happened to us. We didn't ask for them, but they're here. So if we can help the next woman to understand it, and not only that, Martine, help the next man to understand his wife, understand his partner. That's a big deal, because that can, sometimes men don't understand that, and that's a quiet secret that a lot of women take, and it's, the fibroids. Well, helping them understand the intricate parts of that, it's good. it's good for those that want to learn and want to hear to help understand their wives and their partners as well. So, Martine, I am so glad that you decided to take our invitation to come on the show. You've given us some very valuable information and education about the uterine fibroids and that you can survive it and that you don't have to have a hysterectomy and that life can be, totally amazing once you've been cured from them, if that's what you choose to do. And we would love to have you back another time when you are, because I see you have many books that you've written and more that you're writing. So you have a journey and a calling. Yes. So, and congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to be on your show.
You're quite welcome, and we look forward to having you on the show again. Have an amazing weekend, Martine.
Thank you, likewise.
Okay. All right, there we go. An amazing, very different kind of interview conversation with Martine Myers. And talking about uterine fibroids. And those are some things that, it is what it is. We got them. Some have them, some don't. Some get rid of them, some still got them. So they're a part of you. And they can make your life miserable, and they can make it uncomfortable and inconvenient and those kind of things. It's a blessing that she has the courage to come out and talk about it. You know how prude and crude we can be sometimes as humans. Things that you do, the things you don't want to talk about. You have sex, but you don't want to talk about it. And you have fibroids, and you don't want to talk about it. And, you know how we can be sometimes. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And this is Myra McKnight, your empowerment specialist with Can We Talk. And, I like to bring things to your attention that's going to be beneficial to you in life. This platform here is amazing. People didn't always have this type of platform. You couldn't tune in on your radio, couldn't tune in on your phone, and couldn't tune in on your computer. But there are so many niches out here. There are so many things that there's nothing that happens to an individual that hasn't happened to somebody else somewhere, sometime, someplace. And, when she's talking about the womb confidence specialist and looking at her website, and, you have to know as a woman that the womb is a very, very kind of complex. It makes us very, as women, makes us complex. Makes us have the ups and downs, the emotions and things of that nature. And when you're able to know that that's what it is, you can begin to be in control of that. You can begin to be in control of who you are. Life is about choices, and we all have them. And also life is about you, too. And I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about that because earlier I was talking about some of the things that we do in our lives for so many people. And it behooves us to begin a journey of self-reflection, it's kind of like it's the top of the zipper is at the top of your head, and sometimes you just need to unzip it and come out of that shell, come out of that igloo that you have put yourself in. A lot of times people work a lot, they do a lot, and those things that they do for other people is just a camouflage of what they don't want to do for themselves. And I don't know about you. Maybe you're not that kind of person, but I remember that, you're always doing and you're trying to do the best, and you can always help, and you're always there, and you're always, okay, I'll be right there. Okay, I'll do this. Okay, I'll get it done. And, as if you're the only person that can do it. But you know what? There are other people that can do it. And sometimes the people that you do it for, you need not to do it because they have to be as accountable to themselves as you are to them. And you have to ask yourself, I see women all the time, and I work with women with Better One, Better Two Relationship Academy that or have forgotten who they are, and they don't know what they like. And because they're waiting on somebody else
to give it to them. They're waiting on somebody else to make them happy. They're waiting on to find this man to make life better for them. And it shouldn't always be about finding a man. I think that as women, we can spend a lot of time looking for that. But I do promise you one thing. When you stop looking for that, he will come along. When you stop finding the black dress and the black heels and hanging out at the club, and I have nothing against the club. I've gone to the club too. It's been some years. But when you stop making your Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights about heading to the club, you will be surprised at what will come into your space. Because, sometimes that club life, that fast life is a deterrent. And sometimes, a lot of times, it's a deterrent. It's a wall. It gets in the way of what the good energy that is supposed to come to you. Have you ever thought about meeting somebody at the or just going to a library and the energy that might be there at the library? Have you ever thought about the aquarium? Have you ever thought about the symphony? I mean, there's so many other places that you can do, but not so much as finding somebody, but finding you, because you might be at the symphony. That spirit of you might be at the symphony. That spirit of you might be at the zoo. That spirit of you might be at the art museum. It might be at the little cafe up in St. Helen. It might be someplace else, because you won't know those things that you want in your life until you begin to pursue your life. And what I found out is a lot of times those things that you need to do, you got to do them alone. It ain't about you doing it with somebody else. It's not about you carrying another person. It's about you. And how can you enjoy your own company? That's something that you really want to ask yourself. Some people don't like to be alone. Some people don't like to do things by themselves. But can you enjoy you? If you cannot enjoy your own company, it's not a good thing. If you can't be happy with you, it's not a good thing. Because if you can't be happy with you, don't nobody else want to be with you. Nobody wants to be around you if you can't be happy with yourself. You have to enjoy being you. Enjoy you, who you are. I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about heels. They got new shoes out now, and they're a little bit of platforms and not like the spike heels and things like that they might have at other places. But you got to realize what you do today is what you deal with tomorrow. And as Martine was talking about eating healthy, I am not a healthy guru, really, but I do take initiative to try to make sure you get some fruits and vegetables, and then my family eats fruits and vegetables and drink some water. And I might go off 1 day or 2 days and do something that I shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to start thinking about yourself. Take a minute for you. The other day, I wanted to get a veggie plate. And I actually got a veggie plate, and someone told me, well, go get a veggie plate for everybody else. And I was like, heck no. I'm not getting a veggie plate for everybody but for me. And I enjoyed that moment. I did not get them a veggie plate. I got one for myself, and I sat there, and I ate it, and I enjoyed it. And it was just for me. And you have to start doing things just for you. Don't feel guilty that I didn't do this for the kids. I didn't do this for my husband. I didn't do this for my family. You got to back up, ladies, and you got to do it for yourself. I have so many women that come in my office, and they are inundated with doing. And the husbands or the partners are really not that interested in all doing, because what they say is, you don't have to do it. Who told you to do it? Why are you doing it? I don't need you to do it. You're not my mother. You're my wife. So I want you to kind of take back and find you, where are you? There's times you have to ask yourself, okay, Myra, where are you? What do you like? What do you want to do? What's your favorite? If there's something that you wanted to do right now, what would it actually be? And a lot of those things that you want to do probably might be out of your control right now, but that's where prayer and reflection and faith comes in. That's what moves you to the next level in your life. Your body changes consistently. Every time you have a birthday, you have to go out and get drunk and get turned up on your birthday. What does that mean? What does that mean, and what does that bring you? Those are things that are something that's, when you talk about reflection, what am I doing that is benefiting me? That's always a big thing. I tell all my ladies that come into my office, and I speak with them in groups, if it doesn't benefit you, you need to rethink it. Some might say that's selfish. No, it's not selfish, because women don't really know how to be selfish. But you got to learn to be selfish, because you really don't know how to be selfish, because you give everything that you have to your last to everybody in your life and in your presence and everywhere, and you're giving to your community, to your church, to your school, to your family, to your friends, to your husband, and you're the last person. But I want to tell you something that I found is that you didn't die on the cross for anybody. You are not a martyr. You won't be a martyr at all. Check yourself and do for yourself. Make it a priority to engage in knowing you, learning you, because there's a lady 10 years back to the left of you. You're 10 years back, and there's a lady 10 years up. So if you're 50, there's a lady 40 years back, and she's saying, well, heck, what are you doing? What are you doing? How are we going to get to where we said we were going to get to? And then if you're 50, look 10 years to your right, what are you going to be doing when you're 60? Are you going to continue to keep giving and keep doing? Life is about choices, and I want you to enjoy the amazing choices that God has given all of us. It's a big deal. And I enjoy on Fridays when you guys tune in and allow me to sit a spell with you and be in your space. And I want you to check out on my website, which is Better One, Better Two Relationship Academy, which I'm the president and CEO of. I am about building relationships everywhere with anybody. You don't only build the relationship with the person you love, you build them with the person you work with, the persons that you eat with, the persons that you at the gas station. Building healthy relationships is a positive, and it makes you positive. It empowers you. It gives you that strength to stand up in your own shoes. So, ladies, don't be afraid of being who you are. Don't be moved or pushed by men who, I'm not going to say they're insecure, but don't be pushed by anybody. Don't allow relationships to be sour and you sit in them. Speak up for yourself. Do not be in a position of being non-assertive or shutting down and crying and running to the side of the room. Stand there and speak up. No matter what, speak up. If it's a violent situation or a violent situation, then you know what to do. You know to get the hell out of there. That's what's important. But just an argument, don't be afraid to say how you feel. If you start a relationship like that, it will continue to be that way. You do have to understand the components of who you are as a woman and what makes you whole. From newsflash, a man doesn't make you whole at all. It doesn't. If that was the case, we'd have a whole lot of half-baked women around here. A man doesn't make you whole. Being married doesn't make you whole. Being in a relationship doesn't make you whole. You determine the wholeness of who you are. So, being said, this is Myra McKnight. I am your empowerment specialist. I love being with you guys on Friday, and I love you tuning in with me as well. Next week, I have an amazing lady that's going to come in, of course. Another amazing lady is going to talk about her personal life and some things that she has gone through, but she has made it work for her today. And as all the women that come on the show, they do it today for you tomorrow. So live as if today is your last, dance as if no one is watching, and sing out loud. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.